Annabelle here is a really well-behaved dog. She really doesn't have any behavior problems. When I usually sit down with my clients, they give me, I've had people literally pull out pages of notes of the problems and things they don't want their dog to do. What they don't want the dog to do is kind of what she just did there. Is she has a tendency to do this. Are you going to do it? I should have started filming earlier, huh? Let's see if you'll do it now. Okay, so she likes to climb up on top of our guest. Now, and she wants attention. She's just asking for attention. Hey, if I know something is going to work and get me attention from whoever I want attention from, I'm going to continue doing it. Anything your dog is doing when you pet it is what you're reinforcing and rewarding. For dogs, we pet our dogs a lot, and petting your dog is a great thing. But if your dog is doing something you don't want it to do and you pet it, you're actually reinforcing that. So this can include anxiety, stress, fear, aggression, as well as behavior issues. If Annabelle comes over here and jumps up on me, hey Annabelle, sit, sit. That's where we're going to go in a minute. But if she came over and jumped up on me and I petted her, then I'm teaching her the proper way to ask a human to pet you is to jump up on them. What some people find cute, other people might not find cute. So I consider petting a dog our way of paying a dog. I'm going to pay Annabelle for doing the things that I want her to do, not the things that, that's okay, not the things that she wants me to do. So a lot of times I ask my clients, does the dog nudge you or scratch at you when it wants attention? And Annabelle's clients, guardians were like, no. And my next question is it possible that she gets petted so much that she doesn't have to ask for it? And that probably is the case here. So after enough repetition, the dog just learns that this is what I do. I jump up on guests and then they pet me. That's the way of life. So what I'm doing is basically, in this case, I'm just using these to kind of block her, and I'm disengaging from her as soon as she tries to jump up on me. She's trying to take, I just lose interest. Now, petting a dog is a very powerful way to communicate that they're doing something we like. I like to use this hand motion to put a dog into a sit. Sit. When a dog feels good about what it's done, his nose is parallel to the ground and tilted upward. I want to pet a dog whenever possible under the chin to facilitate a nose-up orientation, especially when we're rewarding the dog for doing things that we want, like a sit, because I want the dog to feel good about sitting. Look, I'm sitting like a banshee. Yes, or whatever is appropriate. I don't know, I have a good analogy for that one. So after a while, sit. The dog learns, well, every time I sit down, he starts petting me. Every time I jump up on him, he loses interest in petting me. Now, it's going to take a lot of repetitions. Dogs look through repetition, consistency, and good timing. Like I said earlier, you have a window of 3 seconds to correct or reward your dog. So if as soon as the dog jumps up, the person leans back and stops petting. After a while, the dog will get this impression. Now, I would suggest that you guys do this yourselves anytime. So if she jumps up on you and you pet her, you're teaching her this is the way to ask me to do it. And if this is what my guardians do, I should use the same behavior for everybody else. I got a puppy last summer, and his breeder taught him just to sit because when people came over to play with the puppy, she would only let them pet the dog that sat. So after I picked him up, he would he just sat down, all of them sat down as soon as he got there. But I took him out and about, and he would just go sit in front of people and saying, hey, sucker, I'm sitting down. Why aren't you petting me? And so that was, in his mind, how I asked people, please pet me by sitting in front of you. We call this manding or learning to demand. So for what I like the guardians to do is anytime the dog starts jumping up on them, immediately stop petting Annabelle. Now, as soon as Annabelle sits, we want to reach over within that 3-second window and also pet her and say the word sit only. A lot of us say too many words to our dog. We have a crappy day, we come home and we're like, Annabelle, can you believe that woman? I mean, I honked at her, stopped her from running the light and hitting me, and she gave me the bird. I mean, what is that? That's healthy to do. But when we come home and if I tell Annabelle to sit and she sits, I go, oh, you're the smartest dog ever. Well, that can confuse her because you're the smartest dog ever is not her command word. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please. We have a little maintenance going on while we'll film this. So basically what I wanted the guardians to start doing is exclusively petting the dog when it does something they want her to do. So if she jumps up on us or scratches at us, we're certainly not going to pet her. But if I just want to pet her myself, I'm going to still ask her to sit. And again, I use this hand motion. If the dog's head is here, I want to go in an arc over their head. They'll tilt up for a while, and then to get more elevation, they put their butt down. As soon as their butt gets down, I lower it, put my hand under their chin. They lower their hand. Usually I have a treat in my hand, and I hold it about here. So they lean down, lick up the treat, and as soon as they do that, I start tickling them under their chin. So I'm going to facilitate that nose-up orientation. Annabelle. Let me demonstrate. Annabelle. Yes. Sit. And I'm just saying the word sit. Most of us say, oh, what a good dog, or too many words, and then the dog has a problem identifying which word is the command word. So I'm just saying only one and making it easy because there's only one option. It's a multiple choice test with only one choice. So after a while, the dog will start figuring out is if I tell the human what to do, or I want attention from them, I have to ask for it politely, and I have to pay for it. And I pay for it through a currency of obedience. I have to do the smallest thing that I could possibly do. I have to sit in front of the human. Now, if the guardians practice this amongst themselves, whenever they want to pet her, asking a dog to sit is literally asking the smallest thing you can ask a dog to do. Sit. Sit. After a while, she'll come and start prepaying for that attention. If she's doing it with you guys, then she's going to start doing it everywhere. I would not only do it in the house with the guardians, I would do it when guests come over. I would also do it on walks. So we're on a walk, it's like, Annabelle. Annabelle's a little star of the neighborhood. Everybody loves Annabelle. They come out of their house to see her when they walk by. So we can enlist the help of our neighbors and say, hey, we had a behaviorist come by. He told us that the reason that she jumps up is because people pet her when she jumps up. So we're going to ask is if she jumps up on you, stop petting her, please. And here's a treat. As soon as she sits down, please lower your hand, let her have the treat, and say the word sit. Now, if there's 15 houses that are fans of Annabelle's in this neighborhood, and every time she passes one of those houses, they come out, we give her, the person, a treat, she sits. After one walk, that's 15 practices at it. At the end of a week, if we walk every day, that's like we're probably at about 100 practices at that. Math is not my strong suit. But the more, like I said, dogs learn through repetition, consistency, and good timing. If we repeat this a whole bunch, this becomes her neural pathways will align. She'll just get into a habit of doing this, and she'll just start sitting in front of people saying, hey, sucker, I'm sitting down. I'm Annabelle. Why aren't you giving me attention? Now, there's a little addendum that I'm going to add to this. I call what we just talked about petting with a purpose. I also practice something called passive training. Most of the time, we only ask our dogs to do things in ways that convince them that it's not a good thing to do. The dog is outside having a great time, and we say, come. The dog comes to us, and we put it inside. Well, I was just having a great time in the backyard. I came to you, and now I'm basically punished. Now my fun time is over. Or at the dog park, we say, come, and then we leave the dog park. So we use the word in a context that actually makes a negative association. So what I like to do is, what I like to call this is passive training. Every time the dog comes to me on her own, I just pet her and say, come. I didn't ask her to do it, but I'm rewarding her for a desired action or behavior. The next time I ask her to come, she is much more likely to come because every time I come to David, he's hooking me up with affection. The only way I can get affection is by doing something for my humans. So literally sitting. If she's already sitting, you ask her to come. Well, that's petting with a purpose. For passive training, it's just noticing whatever she happens to be doing. So if she comes and sits down next to you, pet her and say sit. If she lays down, pet her and say crash, is the word I like to use. My dog, every time I would walk towards her and she would back up, I would say the word retreat. So now if I'm at a park or a concert somewhere and I'm with her and she's in somebody's way and they say, excuse me, can I get by? I say retreat. She gets up and takes 4 steps backwards and lays back down. I did this at Stinson Park for a concert, and this woman was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. All it is I rewarded her every time she did that. So this is passive training. It takes a little bit longer. You just have to be very observant, and again, within that 3-second window. Since we have 2 people in the house, we can actually point each other out. So if Annabelle comes to me, and my partner says, reward, I look at Annabelle, and whatever she's doing, I pet her and say, crash. Or if she's sitting, I pet her and say sit. If she's just standing there, I assume she just came to me. I didn't recognize it. My partner pointed it out to me and so letting me know so I can reward her. So now instead of rewarding her for doing the things we don't want, like jumping up, it's not the only bad thing that she does, we're going to start asking her to sit. And after enough repetition, she's just going to start sitting on her own. And then when we have guests come over, they're going to get the same result. Now, let me wrap up this video. This is going to be a little bit longer, but I'm going to basically encapsulate everything into this one video that you have to do. I'd like the guardians just to go through their Rolodex, their phone book and their phone. Look for somebody that's a friend that you haven't had come by your house for a while. A lot of times we don't teach our dogs how to behave. Tell the friend, hey, I hired a dog guy. He showed us how we can fix our dog from jumping up, but we need practice at it. We haven't seen you in for far too long. I got a nice bottle of Merlot. We'd love to have you come over, drink this bottle of Merlot, and help us teach our dog to not jump up by basically petting her. That's all you have to do. You're not asking them to do anything crazy. And so then you have that person come by, they practice it, and you want to try to arrange this as often as you can so you have people coming by, and now we're helping her practice this, but the people know about it. then eventually this will become such a habit for her because her guardians do it and guests do it and the people on the walks do it. And after a while, she's just like, I'm just going to go sit in front of people, and that's my way of asking, please, can I get a little bit of attention? So this is what I like to call petting with a purpose, with a bonus of passive training.